The air war heats up for top guns over the Persian Gulf. Artillery exchanges on the ground across the Kuwait border. And a look at bomb damage around Baghdad. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting tonight with a special one-hour war update edition. Good evening. The Gulf War intensified in its 9th day today. Allied forces seized an island off Kuwait. Skies cleared over Iraq and Kuwait. U.S. bombers staged all-out attacks. Over the Persian Gulf, an American-made Saudi jet fighter shot down 2 Iraqi planes. There is no solid sign of enemy morale cracking. President Bush's spokesman warned that the war may not be over for months. David Martin is at the Pentagon with the latest on the major military developments of the day. David?
Dan, Iraq made its first attempt today to launch an airstrike of its own, apparently against Allied warships in the Persian Gulf. But according to Allied accounts, it was a total failure.
Saudi Arabian F-15 jet fighters intercepted the Iraqi planes along the Saudi coast. A camera in the Saudi jet captured both the action and the adrenaline. Sections of the screen were blacked out by military sensors.
Target destroyed! The first target destroyed!
I can confirm that 2 of these aircraft were intercepted and destroyed by Saudi fighters. The third discharged its weapon out of range of any target and fled to base.
Meanwhile, Allied planes continue to attack targets throughout Iraq and Kuwait. This is an Iraqi eye view of the damage and casualties. The Iraqis claim this was a baby formula factory, although you have to wonder about the authenticity of this English language sign. The U.S. says it was a biological weapons plant. Whatever it was, it is no more. In the Kuwaiti theater, Allied bombers continue to attack the supply lines running into and out of Basra. That's part of the strategy to first cut off, then kill the Iraqi army. But it is not yet cut off, much less dead.
No, we have not successfully inundated all of those lines of communications into Kuwait. Over time, we're confident that that will be the case.
As for killing the Republican Guard, backbone of Saddam's army, that too will take time.
But you have to keep in mind that there's over 150,000 of them. And they're highly dug in, they're spread out over a large territory.
Allied aircraft have dropped 1 million leaflets over Kuwait offering safe passage to Iraqi deserters. And some, still a small number, have taken up the offer.
Their primary reason that they've been giving us, why it is that they've turned themselves in, is that one, as you had asked, low morale, and also apparently a lack of food.
The U.S. is also taking an increasing number of Iraqi prisoners. Late today, the U.S. reported the results of a brief battle in the waters off Kuwait. 2 Iraqi minesweepers were sunk and a total of 51 prisoners were picked up from the water in a nearby island. The Kuwaitis say that island is the first piece of their territory to be liberated. Dan?
David Martin. With the emphasis on the air war, the restrictions on news coverage in the war zone, few reporters have been able to tell us what's going on at the front lines on the ground near the border of Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. A few, working on their own, have managed to get to the border at considerable risk to bring back photographs of the ground battle that may be looming. Scott Pelley has our report.
It is night in occupied Kuwait. American artillery lights the sky, raining cluster bombs on Iraqi positions. Here on the border, the enemy is blasted nightly. Americans in their bunkers wait for the reply.
That's an airburst. 3, 4, 5.
Counting the distance from an incoming shell as if it was lightning.
That was an airburst.
The border war is waged in slow motion, the pieces not yet in place. Columns of armor move toward Kuwait. Endless convoys of supplies carry food, fuel, and ammunition. The forces move through an empty landscape. Saudis here have surrendered their towns to the war. Some Iraqi soldiers are now crossing the border, but they are unarmed, even shoeless. As defectors, they are happy to walk away from the Allied bombing, relieved that for them, it is over. Just inside Kuwait, many Iraqis appear to have abandoned their positions. There are signs of Allied shelling, but no defenders. The environment is an early casualty of the border fighting. A refinery shelled days ago still burns. There are reports of black, oily rain miles away. On the shore of the Gulf, oil slicks are spreading. For the soldiers and Marines firing their howitzers, the border is the brink of a historic battle. Each night, Allied bombs light the horizon again, and Americans in their bunkers wait and listen to the gathering desert storm. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Saudi Arabia.
Questions were asked today about CBS News correspondent Bob Simon and his crew. They were last heard from Monday in northern Saudi Arabia near the border with Kuwait. Today, a Saudi patrol reported finding their vehicle and following the tracks of 4 men up to the Kuwaiti border. They said they did not see the crew. Besides Bob Simon, the journalists for CBS News are Peter Bluff, Roberto Alvarez, and Juan Caldera. Baghdad Radio today said the war is going according to plan, that is, Iraq's plan, and it will be a long war. Correspondent Doug Tennell in Jordan is monitoring the war according to Saddam.
Iraqi censors have released what are believed to be the first pictures of Iraqi civilian casualties of the Allied bombing. The Iraqis say this is a residential neighborhood in the city of Mosul, a large northern urban center and home to a major military installation. Until now, the Iraqis have downplayed civilian casualties, while at the same time they have claimed Allied losses have been much greater than reported by the coalition. That was the message of the latest Iraqi TV broadcast showing captured American pilot Jeffrey Zaun.
I hope that I will be remembered for not wanting to participate in the harming of the Iraqi people.
Radio Baghdad says Saddam Hussein has just wrapped up another morale-building visit to his troops along the front. Some Arab military analysts say that while the American war plan has bogged down, Saddam has been successful in sticking to his objectives.
The command is still there, and Saddam is still there, and he's still sending messages to his commanders, and his ground forces are still there.
Abdul Hadi Majali is former chief of staff of the Jordanian military.
I think he is winning.
The Pentagon wouldn't agree with that assessment, but there is no question that the longer the war goes on, the more Saddam Hussein scores points on the political front. In a basement in Amman, Sausan Feda and her neighbors have been assembling homemade gas masks.
Saddam Hussein is good. He's a very good man. I love Saddam Hussein.
And so do the parents of these newborn babies in an Amman hospital. Every day since the war began, a baby has been born here named Saddam. This is the newest, 2 months premature. His parents are certain he will survive, just like the Saddam that is his namesake. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Amman.
FBI Director William Sessions said today the threat of a Saddam Hussein-inspired terror attack inside the United States is low. This came as other officials confirmed that international terror groups do have contacts inside the U.S. Rita Braver puts this in perspective.
It was a symbolic prelude. Just before U.S. mayors heard an FBI briefing on terrorism this morning, military police with bomb-sniffing dogs made a security sweep through the meeting room. For the first time since the Gulf crisis began, the FBI publicly named organizations that may have individuals in place in this country ready to assist in a terrorist attack.
The Abu Nidal organization is the one that we would rate as having the highest potential. In addition, the Palestine Liberation Front and the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine have structures here within the United States.
Baker also mentioned Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed group responsible for the 1983 attack on U.S. Marine barracks in Lebanon. FBI officials said they have not made any arrests in connection with these groups because they've no definite evidence of criminal activity. And they stress they have no warnings of specific Iraqi targets in this country. But there has been more activity on the international front.
We have clear evidence that Iraq is supporting terrorists around the world who are planning to mount attacks against coalition member countries. The clearest examples of this activity is the attempted bombing of the U.S. Cultural Center in Manila on January 19th.
State Department officials say there's evidence that Iraqi diplomats may have masterminded the bomb effort, as well as plotting other terrorist attacks so far unachieved on Allied interests in Thailand. and reports of terrorism have prompted at least half a dozen other countries to expel Iraqi diplomats in the past few days. So far, there have been no major incidents. Officials here say that's due in part to increased security, in part to luck, and in part to the chance that Saddam Hussein's henchmen are waiting for the right time and place to strike. Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, additional reports on how the war is going, where it may be going, and the reason why Saddam Hussein himself may have become a priority bomb target.
When sore muscles or minor arthritis pain hold you back, you need strong medicine. Ben Gay with not just one, but 2 pain relievers. Warming power for fast relief. Helps get you going again. Ben Gay. Fast, strong medicine for pain relief.
I am a car maker. Making cars friendlier to the environment is something I think about a lot.
One answer is more fuel-efficient cars.
We're also working on alternative fuels, like our Impact, designed to be the first really practical electric car with enough zip for the California freeways.
25 GM cars today put out the same amount of tailpipe emissions as one car from 1970. Now that's progress.
Okay, listen up, people. It's Super Bucks weekend at Sears, and that means you decide what's on sale. Just grab the coupons from your newspaper for savings up to $50. So bring the coupons to Sears and let's shop!
I was afraid to go to the doctor. I didn't want to hear that I might have an ulcer, but I just couldn't ignore my stomach. You can imagine how relieved I was when my doctor said Mylanta. He told me it wasn't an ulcer. It was indigestion. And indigestion like mine needed a strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
The Vatican said today it has received a reply from Saddam Hussein to a plea for peace from Pope John Paul. A spokesman quoted the letter as saying the Iraqi leader shares the Pope's concern for justice and peace. At this point, though, appeals for dialogue apparently are being ignored in both Washington and Baghdad. Alan Pizzi in Amman looks at Saddam's situation.
There seems little doubt that Saddam still has the weapons to fight back, that his military has been mauled but not mutilated. His air defenses are still good enough to bring down American planes and give him POWs for propaganda. Iraq squandered its vast oil wealth on the best the world's arms merchants would provide. But even when the crisis began, Saddam seemed to believe cause and cunning could defeat technology.
The United States Air Force may be able to destroy cities, plants, installations, and people, but it will never be able to be decisive in concluding a battle.
Iraq's 1 million soldiers are afraid not to fight. An Iraqi soldier knows an American soldier will only kill him, a well-informed diplomat said. But if the Iraqi refuses to fight, Saddam's secret police will kill him and his family.
And Saddam may well be leaving his chemical weapons for the great ground battle, which everyone expects to erupt around southern Iraq and Kuwait in the next few weeks.
Analysts who have studied Saddam describe him as psychologically deformed, a man high on his own rhetoric who will go down fighting to the last drop of Iraqi blood.
When Saddam feels backed into a corner, that is when he can become particularly dangerous. There is no constraint on his aggression, and he can lash out with extremes of violence, using whatever resources or weapons are at his disposal, including weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein, experts say, is a man without a conscience, incapable of caring about the pain of others, and willing to do anything to win. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Amman.
U.S. officials insist there is no official Allied policy to hunt Saddam down and take him out. That doesn't mean necessarily there's no effort to find him, bomb him, and kill him. Bill Plant has more about this. Bill?
That's right, Dan. Although the Allies and the U.S. won't admit that they are seeking Saddam Hussein as part of their relentless attacks on Baghdad from the air, it's become pretty obvious that Washington wouldn't mind if he just happened to get hit or at least captured. The British Prime Minister was the latest to say so earlier this week, and the President echoed his remarks last night.
Whatever his fate may be, I, for one, will not weep for him.
No one should weep for this tyrant when he is brought to justice. No one.
That sounds clear enough, but it still isn't policy, says the State Department.
Our policy is very clear. I don't believe the President last night was stating policy. He was stating his personal emotions.
In the U.S. Congress, where there's less need for diplomatic nicety, there's a growing number of people who say it outright. Removing Saddam Hussein would remove the problem.
I encourage the Allied forces to look seriously in terms of shortening this war by Saddam being a target.
Whether we target him by way of a mission of seek and destroy, or capturing him and taking him out.
But not everyone is convinced that letting Saddam know he's a target is a good idea.
If he is persuaded that our objective is to kill him, then he really has no reason to negotiate at all, and he will fight to the end, probably.
In any case, Saddam appears to be well protected. His presidential palace was reduced to rubble on the first day, but far below is a $65 million fortified bunker built 10 years ago by German contractors. Deliberately assassinating Saddam would be against U.S. law, illegal, but officials hope that if they're lucky, he won't be around for them to deal with when the war is over. They still remember the spectacle of hunting down Panamanian strongman Manuel Noriega. And all of this, of course, goes far beyond the objective of driving Iraq out of Kuwait. But the longer this war drags on, the less likely the U.S. is to settle for anything else. Bill Plant. Dan?
Bill, thanks. Straight ahead, a report from Israel, still under the threat of Iraqi attacks.
Your high-fiber cereal
tastes like a high-fiber cereal.
But my high-fiber cereal is different.
Why? Because it comes in a big red box?
No, because it's delicious.
Really?
It's the only one with this delicious combination of raisins, dates, nuts, and crunchy clusters.
Keeps sounding better and better.
And crispy high-fiber bran flakes.
That makes it perfect.
That makes it fruit and fiber.
And that makes fruit and fiber my high-fiber cereal.
Post fruit and fiber cereal.
Delicious.
Why would you want your fiber any other way?
Kids feel sick at the thought of taking bad-tasting medicine.
Open up.
But not new grape-flavored Dimetap DM for colds and coughs.
You'll like Dimetap.
New Dimetap DM. It relieves kids as well as colds, as well as coughs.
The day may come when all dishwashers will get your dishes sparkling clean and run quietly enough to let you talk on the phone. But isn't it nice to know Whirlpool Quiet Wash dishwashers will do it today?
Do you have a cold?
Yeah.
Here are 2 cold medicines. One relieves these 3 symptoms, this 9. Choose one.
9.
Why?
That's me all the way down the list. Muscle ache, congestion, general body ache, headache.
You chose Dristan over Sudafed.
I am shocked.
Would you try Dristan?
Yes, I would.
How do you feel now?
Night and day difference, 100% better.
Dristan relieves 9 tough cold symptoms.
I love Dristan, yeah. It's great.
Retail selling is not supposed to be good in a recession. Tonight at 10 o'clock, I'll show you why one local business whose sales are up in down times is positively Nashville.
Air raid sirens went off again tonight in Israel, apparently a false alarm. So far, Israel has heeded pleas from President Bush to hold off on any return strikes against Iraq. Tom Fenton is covering the story in Tel Aviv. Tom?
Dan, there's mounting criticism here of Germany's feeble support for the war against Iraq and its strong support over the years for Iraq's war machine. Foreign Minister Hans-Dietrich Genscher flew here today in an effort to repair the damage to Germany's relations with Israel.
Genscher spent the day touring the ruins of Israeli homes and schools blasted by Iraqi missiles.
It is a shame that Germany helped create the new Hitler!
Genscher announced a gift of $166 million in humanitarian aid for the victims. But the inhabitants of the neighborhoods damaged by Scud rockets that German scientists helped upgrade do not appreciate Germany's position in this conflict.
It's not enough she give the gas and all the intelligence to Iraq. She fight against the war. Now she want the peace. She like Jews when they dead.
The Israelis are especially angered by the role of German companies as prime suppliers for Iraq's chemical, biological, and nuclear arms programs.
Scientists, chemists, engineers, experts on biological and chemical warfare. They carried out his plans. They helped him tighten every screw in this war machine. Achtung, Deutsche Gas! Achtung, Deutsche Gas!
What could people say about these Germans today? That with the past which is theirs and ours, that they allow themselves to do something like that again?
Tonight, Genscher acknowledged that German companies have violated export regulations, but said new legislation is being enacted to put tighter controls on military technology. Tomorrow, Genscher will visit the memorial to the 6 million Jews who died in the camps and gas chambers and the ovens of the Third Reich. More damage control. But the Germans weren't the only ones to help build Saddam Hussein's war machine.
So I think it's very hypocritical now to start to just bashing the Germans. It was a question of money, selling, and everybody was selling, not only the Germans.
Whoever is responsible, Israelis are putting on gas masks because a dictator threatens to annihilate them. For Jews, that's an experience no words can describe. Tom Fenton, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Stay with us now for more news, including a California town where the war has become a municipal debate.
Now you can ask Angela Lansbury about Bufferin.
Angela, for a tough headache, is Bufferin really strong aspirin?
Oh, my, yes. I've learned extra strength Bufferin has the strongest dose of aspirin you can buy, 1,000 milligrams.
Miss Lansbury, how can Bufferin be so strong if it has buffers?
I wondered myself, till I heard that the buffers don't weaken it. They just help prevent aspirin stomach upset. I depend on Bufferin.
Shouldn't you discover the strength of Bufferin?
If you're counting calories, here's something you should know. An entire Kellogg's Special K breakfast, including cereal, fruit, skim milk, and coffee, actually has fewer calories than the leading diet shake. Fewer calories. And when you're dieting, isn't that what's important? Kellogg's Special K. Lose the fat.
This is the sound of Unisom, the sound of sleep. With Unisom, you hit your pillow and fall asleep fast. Tonight, you can sleep more soundly with Unisom, America's #1 sleep aid.
Now's the time for Centrum Silver, because you're over 50 and you're out there swinging. Centrum Silver, a complete vitamin formula for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
As is frequently the case in wars, emotions are at a flashpoint in the haste and confusion of this war, and not only at the front, here at home. Battle lines were quickly drawn, and one California town took a significant stand shortly after the first bombs fell on Baghdad. Now, as John Blackstone reports, that town is having second thoughts. Too late for some residents.
As soon as America went to war, the town of Arcata, California, went on the front lines of the peace movement. The town council declared the community a sanctuary for conscientious objectors, but then discovered that for many people in town, that symbolic act of pacifism was an act of treason.
This is Arcata, Humboldt County, the United States of America, and it is not Baghdad by the Bay.
The city of Arcata hereby declares itself to be a sanctuary for all persons.
The declaration was made a week ago, just hours after American forces first attacked Iraq.
We didn't know that they were going to start the bombing in the middle of this afternoon. And I think we're all pretty miserable and in shock about this.
Since the night the war began, Arcata has been gripped by an issue that's raising questions of patriotism across the country. Is it possible to love the flag and at the same time oppose the war? Arcata, in California's North Country, wedged between the Redwoods and the Pacific, has always had a reputation for being liberal. Students at the state university make up almost half the population.
God bless America.
But when the town was declared a sanctuary, people who seldom raised their voices began to stand up and shout.
God bless America and God bless the silent majority!
Townspeople who had always tolerated diverse views declared the time for tolerance is over.
There are times when that difference of opinion has to come together and say, guys, gals, we're behind you. This is a united country, and not give the enemy fodder to use against us.
I think people are afraid of what's going to happen and what could happen with this war. And they really hope that if we can all just rally behind the president right now, that we can get this over with and be successful quickly.
Arcata's mayor still opposes the war, and at a town meeting, those who agree with him were called traitors.
How dare you call me anti-patriotic? I am an American!
This is what I came here for. Thank you for rescinding this resolution.
The council did rescind its declaration of sanctuary before the meeting ended at 4 this morning, but the divisions here remain.
It's, to me, demonstrates one of the horrors of war, that it invades every corner of our lives, and we have a microcosm of war in town.
The passions raised by war can wound as surely as bombs and bullets. John Blackstone, CBS News, Arcata, California.
The war goes on, and CBS News coverage of the crisis goes on. A word here about that coverage. We are bringing you as best we can all the news, but we hope you understand much of it is controlled, sometimes tightly controlled by military and political sources on all sides. That's why much of what you see on your screen says cleared by censors. Now, on top, later tonight on this CBS station, regular war updates and then full coverage on America Tonight after your late local news. So stay tuned to this CBS station.
I thought my husband Dan was perfectly healthy, but the doctor said his cholesterol level was 218. So we changed to a healthier diet, including no cholesterol Mazola, America's leading corn oil.
In a clinical study, a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet, including Mazola, reduced cholesterol an average of 17%.
Did Dan's cholesterol come down?
You bet. 100% pure Mazola corn oil. Together, we're beating cholesterol.
What a feeling fresh.
Introducing Fix-It-N Fresh with a crisp, clean feeling and a stronger hold than any other cream adhesive. A fresh new feeling and stronger hold are two new reasons to fix it and forget it.
Okay, listen up, people. It's Super Bucks weekend at Sears, and that means you decide what's on sale. Just grab the coupons from your newspaper for savings up to $50. So bring the coupons to Sears and let's shop!
To help relieve her heartburn, her antacid uses aluminum and magnesium, but his is Tums, and Tums has calcium.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Tums. When you're all stuffed up and use an ordinary nasal spray, it drips into your tissue where it can't help you breathe. But not Sinex Ultrafine Mist. Its medicine stays where you need it, so you can breathe the way you want to. We don't drip down, we clear up.
This is CBS.